the inexhaustible Loki appeared once again on Discord to chat with Terraria Discord users about the upcoming mobile 1.3 patch. But first, a quick aside to review a comment made by Tunnel King on the official forums. It was started when Cats for Life Kelly said, "Loki, I have a question that I don't know if anyone in the community knows. In mobile 1.3, will the music in space and the ocean be changed to the same as the other versions?" And it wasn't Loki, it was actually Tunnel King who appeared to answer her question, or his question, I'm not sure. Anyway, Tunnel King wrote, "The music in this update will be the same music in the same places as was on PC version 1.3.0.7. I believe there have been some music changes and additions on the PC version since then. Those will not be in this version, but should come later as the mobile version catches up, content-wise." And so that says two things we've heard before. First, that when we say mobile 1.3, we really mean the equivalent of PC version 1.3.07, and you can Google the patch notes for that to see how far the game had progressed at that point if you're curious. And then the other thing is that they once again confirm that development for mobile Terraria will continue after that particular patch, presumably all the way up through Journey's End and any subsequent patches. And of course, as you would imagine, that will undoubtedly take a decent amount of time. But Tunnel King answered one more question. Kenevi wrote this on the forums. "I don't trust in Google Play Games sync, backup, etc. I have lost the data in different games, Terraria included, so my question is, will we be able to export and import worlds from the internal storage? At least back up the data with copying the game's folder or something like that." And Tunnel King, as I said, answered this one as well. And Tunnel King wrote, "There will be no cloud syncing within the game any longer. The sign in to Google button on the main screen will no longer be there, as shown in various screenshots and videos. There won't be separate local and cloud slots for worlds and players any longer. Everything will be accessible on your device, and you can have as many worlds and players as your device has local storage space for. The players' worlds and settings data will be accessible for manual copying to an internal storage disk card, a connected PC, or a cloud service of your choosing for backup. And of course, you'll be able to copy them back to your device for restore. We'll have detailed instructions and examples for how to do this ready at the release time." So that's excellent news for anyone who's interested in taking the time to do that. You're not relying on any kind of cloud device or cloud syncing to keep your game save files secure, so that's good. But back to Loki, I'm just going to run straight into the question and answers that we saw from Loki on the Discord server. It began with ExistBoy, Bird Gang, who made this excellent comment. And he pointed out, as you can read, that I need some content, and he's absolutely right. So he clearly gets it. People are catching on, so good work to ExistBoy, good work to everyone else. Anyway, the same user had a subsequent comment that actually got an answer. They wrote, "How much bugs or how many bugs have been found and fixed?" And Loki answered, "A lot, and not as many as have been found because that's software. Keep squashing those bugs, DR Studios. The only good bug is a dead bug." I Subbed wrote, "What is your favorite class to play in Terraria?" And Loki responded, "I have always played melee primarily, but I've done them all. Yes, I know melee isn't as good as mage and min-max, but that's how I roll. I'm the same way. I find melee is just easier, it's less hassle." Loki's response is somewhat impressive given that he said before that he's never received the Terrarian, and I know he likes the yo-yo, so he's been sticking with melee despite not getting really the ultimate melee weapon. Little Peepers wrote, "What has been like the biggest bug you've ran into so far, if I'm allowed to ask?" And evidently he was allowed to ask because Loki replied, "For the longest time, multiplayer would not even connect without dropping you within 30 seconds. That one was pretty nasty." But visually, I'll go with the way the pillar shields looked before DR Studios made magic happen and made them compatible with mobile devices. And by pillar shields, he means the 4 pillars from the lunar event. So you have the vortex, the solar, etc. And they have a very cool kind of shielding effect over them until you kill enough enemies around them that the shield drops and they become vulnerable. It's a very advanced effect visually compared to the rest of Terraria. I'll certainly admit that. But moving on, Dizago Fox wrote, Loki, will there be a monthly report in September too? Loki answered, yes, there will be a state of the game for August and September when the time comes. As expected. Brian541 wrote, would we have a mini-map on the 1.3 like on PC? And the answer was, yes, minimap. You can toggle it off or on for more screen space. Now, I'm a minimap fan, but I will admit that the PC version has a lot of real estate on the screen. If I were fighting a boss on mobile, I might be tempted to turn it off, at least for the duration of the fight, so that I just have a bit more screen space, but that's certainly a very personal preference. But it's good to know that you can toggle it. FBI FIPO wrote, Loki, will the beta come to Android? And I think most of you know the answer. Loki wrote, no beta on Android, because we are not Microsoft and we don't want the chaos. Loki said before, or pointed out before rather, that Relogic simply doesn't have the staffing and the budget of a big studio like Microsoft, who obviously runs Minecraft now. And they've said before that there's no beta on Android simply because it could be leaked, just the way Android works, and so they're only doing internal testing for Android. Bin wrote, everything in 1.3 update from PC will be in the 1.3 update for mobile. Loki replied, yes, and yes to saves, they should work, they will not be gone. So if you have pre-existing saves, the upgrade from 1.2 to 1.3 will not delete them. Murton, I hope that's how you pronounce it, wrote, but in your old worlds there will not be a granite biome. So he was pointing out a truth, and Loki responded with correct. As with all updates, existing worlds will not have content tied to world generation. So, no new biomes, no new mini biomes. This is why I always say to do a fresh world with every major update. Loki followed that up with another comment where he wrote, no controller support at launch. That and more control customization will be post-launch. He also wrote, I don't know how long State of the Game is. I haven't written it yet. But back to Murton, and sorry again if I'm butchering the pronunciation, but the question was, why doesn't Minecraft add an item in their game referencing Terraria, while Terraria has a creeper costume in it? And Loki answered, I don't know. That was before Microsoft, meaning before Microsoft bought the studio behind Minecraft. Redigit just asked Notch at the time, if I recall correctly. So it was just a little personal agreement between two game creators back before the big budget Microsoft game studios had control over Minecraft. So as others pointed out though, if you load up Microsoft's Minecraft, I believe it still has a message periodically that says also try Terraria. So there's a tip of the hat, I guess you could say, to Terraria. Glitched Biohazard wrote, Loki, how will the controls function with yo-yos? The answer was, not really directly on point, but the answer was, touch yo-yo feels great to me personally. Young Legolas wrote, cross-platform confirmed for 1.3 mobile? If yes, which platforms can play with mobile? And the answer was no. No cross-play confirmed with 1.3 mobile. All sorts of issues with console, and then everything is on a different version too. So sorry, at least for the moment, doesn't look like it's going to happen. Terraria Master wrote, will there be a tutorial for new mobile controls? Question mark. Presumably wanting to remain a Terraria Master. Loki answered that with, there are some simple control overlays that tell you what does what, etc. It's pretty clever. Obito Uchiha 2434 wrote, has the whole 1.3 update been pushed back due to Android being internally tested? And the answer was clear. It says, the lack of an Android beta has literally zero to do with the eventual launch date. Internal testing has been going on for months. So that's good news. Alex wrote, Loki, will 1.3 have multiplayer servers? Loki's answer, if you host the executable on your PC, sure, or you can do P2P via device. There are no official servers, though we are discussing and exploring having some that folks could rent if they don't want to bother with setting up their own. Would not be directly with RLDR, Relogic DR Studios, would be some third party. So there you go. Young Legolas was back with another question. Loki, can you objectively tell us some of the errors that made the update take so long? Loki's answer was, to requote the question, take so long? DR has done all of this in 8 months. That is not so long to me. If you mean before DR Studios, then no, I will not get into that. Loki and Relogic definitely have a lot of respect for DR Studios. That's become clear from a number of their comments. Presumably they've been impressed with what they've been able to accomplish in a relatively short amount of time, and probably in contrast to the work that was done by the previous studio, but they're not really going to comment on that, and I guess that's really the polite and political thing to do, is not to speak ill of anyone, so there you go. Anyway, Loki made another comment. Loki wrote, I don't know what the world limit or character limit will be, other than a lot more than you have now. Again, good news there, and if you recall the comment I led this video off with from Tunnel King, he seemed to indicate that it was based simply on device storage, so maybe really the sky is the limit depending on your storage capabilities, but there you go. Loki made 2 little comments, just unsolicited, I guess, to review some things he wants to make clear. First, no more customizable controls at launch. Look for that after launch. And 2, anti-cheat on a primarily PvE game with no competitive aspect, nope. You will only cheat yourself. So as he said before, they're going to allow you to have greater customization over the controls after launch with a specific patch. And secondly, they just don't see the need for any anti-cheat on what's primarily a single-player game without the competitive aspect. But back to a familiar name from earlier in the video, ExistBoy asked Loki, how many worlds and characters are we going to be able to make? Loki answered, more than you have now by a lot. The same user asked Loki, will we be able to control the Wisp pet with another control? The answer was lol, they are not adding another stick just to control a single light pet. Sorry. Destined asked, Loki, are we going to be able to customize every single button at post-launch updates? Loki's answer, details of that are to be determined. It's post-launch because it will need iteration to strike the right balance. Back to Destined, who asked, okay, I'm looking forward to that. Gotta be friendly to those who want to play with 4 or 5 fingers like me, wink. And Loki's answer, he laughed and he said, I've only used 4 fingers in 1 battle, and that was way earlier on. Don't need to anymore. So again, he's echoing what he said before, that you will become pretty adept with the new controls after that initial learning curve, so he's just stressing that it's not as bad as you might think. Dizago Fox asked Loki, will there be a countdown for the remaining months? Loki's answer, no, there will not be a countdown, just a date reveal whenever we have a date. And then for the big comment, I suppose, of this video, Loki wrote, this year, yes. So there you have it. I hope they can hold true to that statement. I don't know that Loki's necessarily empowered to speak on behalf of DR Studios, but that was a pretty confident comment, he said. This year, yes. Now, if Journey's End patch for PC and the mobile 1.3 patch both launch before the end of the year, then the end part of 2019 is certainly going to be full of activity. And I hope it is. Anyway, that's it. Thought I'd end on a high note. No more comments I could find, but I'll be sure to keep an eye to Discord and the official forums and elsewhere, such as the official Twitter account, to post comments and news updates about anything that comes along. So thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you all in the next video.